I was multiplying the recipe to feed 19 people. It had way too much oil in it on the first batch, so I just decided I had to throw it out. And the next day, one of my nieces went out and she opened the garbage can, and the challah had grown inside the garbage can. It was enormous. I'm Brenda, and I live in El Cerrito, California. Something I really love is I love that I come home, and maybe it's 5:30 on a Friday, and I spend 15 minutes making the dough, and then I set it aside to rise, and then an hour later I punch it down and I make it into the loaves and I put it in the oven. It's almost like a miracle to me that you can just put all these different ingredients together and come out with this beautiful, wonderful loaf of bread in such a short amount of time. I usually just let myself feel the tiredness of the week, and I lie down and I read for an hour, hour and a half before I go to sleep, and it's just a really nice, quiet, family-oriented time. We're not strict about always starting dinner and starting Shabbat. At the sundown, it's more waiting until everybody can be together. Every Shabbat, my husband says, "Wow, this is the best challah. I think your challah is getting even better," and he says it every week. I think there is something about having homemade challah and having warm challah, and especially if the smell is still in the house, that just adds a whole different quality to the experience of the meal and the gathering, in the way that homemade food can, that it brings people together in a different way than food that's prepared by somebody else does. Just the act of baking, whether it was cookies or cake or bread, is something that I associate as being a fun activity and something that connects me to my mom, and that she would always let me make little things. Like if she was making a big cake, I would make a little one, and she never let me get any of those toys that were like baking toys. It always had to be real baking in the kitchen. And so when I started doing it, my kids also did it with me, and it was always this fun activity. And sometimes they would ignore me and I would just do it on my own, but a lot of times they would want to participate in different parts, with, cracking the egg or mixing or punching down the dough, helping to braid the challah. Sometimes I would be at the counter just making the challah, and my daughter would stand on a chair and play with water in the sink, but we'd be doing something together in the kitchen. If you can take something that's kind of seemingly mundane for most of us most of the time, like cooking and eating, as we kind of rush through every day and aren't very mindful about those things, and you can just even take one thing and connect it to something that's kind of a little bit bigger than yourself, it adds so much into your life, and I love sharing that with people.